every mystery, there is someone, somewhere, who knows the truth.
Here we are, MovieWeb.com. I thought this would be a fun one to cover.
Perhaps that someone is watching. Perhaps it's you.
Given the time of year
Join me.
and how terrifying Robert Stack's voice was. So let's get into this countdown of the most terrifying episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. And I watched this show as a kid. I remember being able to stay up a little bit later when this was on, just to be terrified by Robert Stack's voice as he narrated these stories, which were sometimes as a kid, they were absolutely horrifying. So let's take a look at what the article has to say. And yeah, happy Halloween season to everybody. There's no better way to shift gears in one's head than by watching the ever-popular true crime series Unsolved Mysteries. The show has gathered quite the fan base for its documentation of cold cases and paranormal phenomena. The series first premiered way back in 1987 when Lily Tep was 7 years old, and was recently picked up by Netflix for a reboot. The streaming platform has already released a 2-volume season 15 and has announced the release of a 3rd volume that's scheduled to release in October 2022. This means there's no better time than now to look back at some of the scariest Unsolved Mysteries episodes. Lady in the Lake, Season 15, Episode 11.
Join me.
The episode centers around Joanne Matuk Romaine, a 55-year-old divorced mother who mysteriously disappeared from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, a wealthy suburb in Detroit. Well, trust me, Grosse Pointe's a far cry from Detroit. I used to work out there with my dad. According to the episode, Joanne lived with her 2 daughters, Michelle and Kelly, and a son, Michael. On the day of her disappearance, Joanne was seen at evening service at St. Paul on the Lake Catholic Church, which was not far from her home.
I want full cavity searches. Everyone, go deep on them.
I'll try to do this in the tone of Robert Stack. However, Joanne never returned home. I don't know. The police found her car near the church the night of her disappearance. They also found footprints leading towards the nearby Lake St. Clair. Based on the footprints, the officers believe that Joanne had lowered herself into the icy waters. 70 days after her disappearance, Joanne's body was found 35 miles from where she allegedly entered the river. Now, while some may rule the case to be a suicide, Joanne's children seem to find it suspicious. As highlighted by Joanne's daughter, Michelle, none of her mother's actions point towards suicide. She left no note, was acting perfectly normal the day before her disappearance, and even filled her car tank up, leading many to suspect foul play. What makes the episode rather chilling are the possible suspects. The first one is none other than Joanne's brother, John. The second suspect, and perhaps the most likely, is Joanne's cousin, Tim, who it seems that even Joanne was allegedly fearful of. That is rather unsettling. Up in Smokes, Season 9, Episode 14.
Ordinary people suddenly and inexplicably bursting into flame.
If one were to sum up this particular episode in 2 words, bizarre and scary would be fitting. The episode centers around the phenomenon referred to as spontaneous human combustion, which in simple terms is when a living human body catches fire without an external source. The episode highlights 3 cases, of which 2 lead to death from spontaneous human combustion. The first follows Kay Fletcher, who claimed that one morning clouds of smoke started erupting from her body. Both Kay and her husband claimed that Kay's back was red, with smoke emitting from it, and the smell of burning flesh consuming the room. Unlike Kay, who was fortunate enough to survive, the other 2 victims did not. Both victims were found in their respective houses by other people in a pile of ashes and human remains. Science has tried to explain the phenomenon, but has yet to come up with a proper explanation. It's rather horrifying to imagine that one would be going about their normal day only to randomly burst into flames. Yeah, that is freaky. That's like some, what is that, Extremis? Was that it? Project Extremis from Iron Man 3? Except this is just literal spontaneous human combustion, not anything, injected by external forces. But yeah, that would be insane if that's how you go.
February 21st, 1977.
There's the man. Voice from Beyond the Grave, Season 2, Episode 19. Imagine getting help from beyond to solve a murder case. Well, that's exactly what happened in this episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Even though this case is solved, a real mystery is surrounding the way the case was solved. Back in 1977, a respiratory therapist by the name of Teresita Besa was found stabbed under a burned mattress in her apartment in Chicago. The police were unable to find many clues, save for a note left by Teresita herself with a reminder to get theater tickets for AS. Given the lack of clues, the authorities had no leads. That is, until they received a little paranormal help. 5 months after Teresita's murder, her coworker, Remibias Chua, boy, they're really making me work with these names today, started having dreams about her murder. During her sleep, Remibias would speak to her husband in Teresita's voice, stating that the killer was a man named Alan Showery, AS, who took Teresita's jewelry to give to his girlfriend. The police followed the lead and discovered that Showery had indeed been the culprit, and Teresita's jewelry was found in his girlfriend's possession. The creepiest part about the whole case is nobody was able to figure out how Remibias found out the details of her coworker's murder. Dreamy Disappearance, Season 2, Episode 13. Speaking of nightmares and dreams, the disappearance of Cindy Anderson is another scary case. A year before her disappearance, Cindy had vivid nightmares of being abducted and murdered. She disappeared later in 1981 and was never found again. Something peculiar about Cindy's disappearance is that while before the incident someone had spray painted "I love you Cindy" from GW on a wall near the office she worked in. According to one of her clients, Cindy had received a phone call the day of her disappearance that left her feeling upset. A month after the disappearance, a woman called the police station stating Cindy was locked up in a basement in a nearby house but offered no other details. People have come up with two possible outcomes for her disappearance. Some suspect Cindy decided to run away from her strict Christian household, while others suspect she might have had too much information on the local drug ring. The latter possibility is especially terrifying, especially considering Cindy was never found. Yeah, that's... Jesus. That's terrifying. Like, that's the worst thing is, like, the family would never get closure. Poison Pen Murder, Season 7, Episode 6. I think this was like when Dennis Farina was host. I think it was Dennis Farina that took over. Another rather astounding and scary episode of Unsolved Mysteries is the one revolving around the Circleville writer. Circleville is a small town 25 miles from Columbus, Ohio. In 1976, a frightening series of letters were received by a local resident and school bus driver, Mary Gillespie. The letters threatened Mary to come clean about her affair with the superintendent of the school. When Mary did not take the letters seriously, her husband soon started receiving the letters. According to the episode, Mary's husband Ron suspected someone had, in turn, written a few letters to address the matter. The letters stopped for a bit until one day Ron received a phone call from the letter writer. He was headed to meet the letter writer, but was met with an accident along the way. Even after Ron's death, the letters continued. In 1983, when the letter writer put up signboards to threaten Mary's daughter, one evening, when Mary decided to remove the board, she found a string that was attached to a gun. The booby trap was designed to fire the gun at her. Holy shit! Talk about, like, commitment to, like, I don't know, that is just insane. That is like some movie shit right there. The gun serial number was rubbed off, but lab tests were able to identify the number. Surprisingly, the gun belonged to Mary's brother-in-law, Paul. While Paul did accept the gun belonged to him, he stated he was not the one behind the letters or the booby trap. Paul was arrested for the attempted murder of his sister-in-law. However, the strangest thing about the whole case is that even while Paul was in prison, the letters continued. What makes it even scarier is the Unsolved Mysteries team also received a letter from the Circleville writer threatening the team to leave the case alone.
I want you to drop this case.
See, that right there, that's terrifying. When you know that the writer, the letter writer, the killer is still out there, because let's be honest, the accident that befell her husband had to be in part related to this. You know, I mean, that I have goosebumps on my arms right now, and the hair is standing up just from thinking about that. House of Terror, Season 15, Episode 1. The first episode of Netflix's reboot of Unsolved Mysteries is quick to remind its viewers exactly how terrifying some human beings can be. The episode centers around a family of 6. Xavier DuPont, de Lejeune, Agnes Hottinger, and their 4 children, Arthur, Thomas, Anne, and Benoit, who disappeared overnight. Neighbors of the family who grew suspicious of the silent and shuttered house called the police, requesting a welfare check. Wow, that's insane. I mean, that is scary. Especially, oh wow. Just after quite a few futile visits, the officer noticed the wet cement under the back porch. When the police dug around the area, they discovered the corpses of 5 family members and their 2 dogs. However, Xavier was nowhere to be found. The family had all been shot with a .22 rifle, according to reports. Xavier inherited a .22 rifle from his father. It's horrifying to think that a man would murder his own family and just disappear into thin air. And that one's never been, that has never been solved. None of these have ever been solved. That is absolutely horrifying. It's almost Amityville-esque in the respect, and kills the family. But that, I think, was the son. This is just like, and then the guy did, so he did it. I mean, let's be honest. He's out there somewhere probably still. But yeah, these are some truly horrifying cases. I want to go back up and go back to, which one was it? Was it this one right here? The Voice from Beyond the Grave. I mean, in that right there, this happened in 1977. It's really eerie. You think about that. If you've ever pondered the afterlife like I have, it's very eerie to think that this is possible, that this happened. But I mean, really, just in this brief, paragraph describing it, which I kind of like to start looking into more of these cases. Let me know in the comments if you want me to, try to dig up and do a little research on some of these. Maybe you have the inclination to become a Harvey Wakuian producer tier channel member for $4.99 a month, and request I do a video on something like that. An individual story. Put some research into it for you. Let me know. And you can join, and like I said, you email me with a request or DM me on Twitter, theplacetobereviews@mail.com, the world's best mail, or at theplacetobe.re1 on Twitter. If you follow me, you can DM me. But yeah, that's the list, and those are the top unsolved, scary, frightening unsolved mystery cases according to MovieWeb.com. Now it's your turn. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you like this? Do you want to see more content like this? It's October. I figured this would be good content, scare up some fright. So yeah, have a great day. Do all the YouTube things for me, please, if you will. Smash the like button. Leave a comment below. That really helps. Don't do it just for me, for your other favorite YouTubers as well, as we truly do appreciate it. And yeah, links to all my comrades, my compadres, are in the description to the video. I'm Infinitale Chronicles of the Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of you. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow, and I'll catch you on the next one.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
I could do this all